Hey everyone, in today's video I want to talk about thick sketchbooks, whether or not it's worth the money to get them, what are the pros and cons, and what are the challenges to using them. So let me show you some of the thicker sketchbooks that I have. These two, they were sent to me from this Etsy shop called GatzBcn. This hardcover book is filled with Tomoe river paper, and as you can see, it's pretty much blank except for the first page. I just cannot draw enough to fill up sketchbooks like this, and that's just one of the many thick sketchbooks that I have. This is also from GatzBcn. It's also very thick. I only drew on a few pages, and the rest of the sketchbook, it's blank. This was bought almost 4 years ago. This here, the imprint here is not on a book. On the back, there's this word called concertino. Whenever I show this sketchbook on video, people always ask me where to buy it. I wasn't able to find this online. I bought this at a local shop, and as you can see, it's really thick. The build quality is actually excellent. Very nice canvas cover. The binding is excellent, and the paper is very smooth, fantastic for pen and ink. So this is a sketchbook that I use for drafting out some ideas for some of the YouTube tutorials that you might see, or some of the video courses that I have on Gumroad. So this is the sketchbook that I use when it comes to sketching out some ideas. So these are sketches from a recent video tutorial that I have made on drawing. Again, it's not filled up, and I've had this for almost 4 years. So these three, I don't think I'm going to be able to fill them up in the next 5 to 10 years. Now, thinner sketchbooks are definitely way easier to fill up. For example, the typical watercolor sketchbook like this has around 60 pages. This is the Global Art Materials watercolor sketchbook with 60 pages. This is Stillman & Burn with 60 pages. Moleskine. This is the Hanamule sketchbook. You can see that all the sketchbooks, they are much thinner compared to the thicker ones. And I fill up all of this. It's really easy to fill them up because they have way less pages. Watercolor sketchbooks usually has less pages because the paper is thicker, and they cannot use thick paper to bind a sketchbook with too many pages. So usually they are kept around 60 to maybe 80 pages. If the watercolor paper is thinner, then you're going to get more pages. This sketchbook that I have here, this is the Kadhi Watercolors paper with 80 pages. I managed to fill this up as well. And this sketchbook, it's quite big, as you can see, almost 2 times the size of the A5 sketchbook. So it took me a really long time to fill this up. And this is the Kunst and Papier sketchbook with 128 pages. I've been using this since late 2016, and it's now late 2018. And I still haven't filled this up. I'm down to the last 2 pages. So very soon I'll be able to fill this up. But here's the thing with thick sketchbooks. It can sometimes be quite demoralizing to use them because you don't know when you'll be able to fill them up. When I use thick sketchbooks like this, especially this watercolor one, which I have been drawing in it pretty regularly, but even so, it's really difficult for me to fill this up. And sometimes when I start using this sketchbook, I will start to wonder, when am I able to fill this up? So it's a very long process. There's no right or wrong speed at which you should be drawing, or how fast you should be filling up your sketchbook. When you fill up a whole sketchbook, there's this sense of satisfaction that I don't think you can get with just painting on a single sheet of paper. And when you look back at your sketchbook, it's a really nice feeling, and there's this motivation to want to draw more. But if your sketchbook is always empty, you're always having problems trying to fill it up, then you may actually procrastinate and start drawing less and less. So it's actually good to get sketchbooks that are a bit thinner so that you can fill them up faster, so that you can actually see some progress in your work. So the more sketchbooks you fill up, you can get the momentum going and it feels easier to draw in the sense. For watercolor sketchbooks like this, not only do you have to draw, you actually have to paint on it. So the time that you take to fill up pages, it's going to be longer. For sketchbooks that are meant for dry media like pencil or pen and ink, the paper usually is thinner. You can draw faster because there is no need to paint, so you can fill up pages faster. And in that case, maybe choosing a thicker sketchbook might be more appropriate because you can fill up sketchbooks faster. So here is a small sketchbook that has a lot of pages. I use this for pen and ink work, and I can fill this up reasonably faster compared to watercolor sketchbooks. And also it's easier to fill up smaller sketchbooks like this because the pages are not that large. You can fill them up pretty quickly. So that's the advantage of using smaller sketchbooks. By the way, I have another video that's coming up on small sketchbooks. This is the Global Art Materials Handbook, which has 128 pages, if I remember correctly. It took me a long time to fill up this sketchbook as well, but it's not as bad because this sketchbook is actually quite small. When you close it up, it's almost palm size. So when you open it up, it's still pretty small, so it's easier to fill up. And with smaller sketchbook, you don't have to draw so much details, so you can draw faster. So using thick sketchbooks like this is no longer just about practicing, it's also a test of your character, whether or not you have the determination or the discipline to fill up sketchbooks like this, to draw regularly. Personally, I would recommend you get smaller or thinner sketchbooks. You can still draw on 600 pages, for example, but split up the 600 pages maybe into 10 sketchbooks. Watercolor sketchbooks usually they have around 60 pages, so you're still drawing 600 pages, just that when you break them up into smaller parts, it's easier for you to achieve, it's less daunting, and when you see a sketchbook that you have completed, it would actually motivate you to draw even more. After using so many sketchbooks, I definitely prefer using thinner sketchbooks because they are more inviting. Just the look of this thick sketchbook, it's quite intimidating. It's almost enough to put me off from using one. But that's just me. How about you? Do you like to use thick sketchbooks like this? Or do you go for thinner ones, or does it not matter? Let me know in the comment section below. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye!